These two became the kings of Geometry Dash in their prime, but over the years their legendary stories have been forgotten. Join me as we go back in time and uncover them. Andromeda was a player just like any one of us. He saw a kid on the school bus always playing this strange little cube game and finally got around to trying it himself. And once he touched it, oh god did he get hooked. His journey to becoming a Geometry Dash legend was already set in motion. Having experience with the Impossible game, another platformer that RobTop totally didn't steal from, he had an effortless time getting adjusted, beating the first level on his second ever attempt, and he'd knock out the rest of the main levels in the next couple of days. Andromeda was one of thousands getting into the game. Tons of big YouTubers were playing Geometry Dash on their channels, bringing in waves of players. In fact, the second legend we'll talk about today is getting hooked by a video that PewDiePie made right now, but we'll get into that guy later. The tidal wave of players brought lots of competition, with people trying to prove themselves in this new game. But where there's competition, there's bound to be cheaters. And in Geometry Dash, it was stupidly easy to get away with it. Just use a tool called Speed Hack to slow down the game, beat the level, and then run the footage back up to normal pace in a video editor to make it look legit. Players were constantly getting fooled by this, making it hard to distinguish the legends from the frauds. And can you blame them? It looks perfectly normal, aside from one crucial thing. Can you spot it? Well, it's not the subscribe button hiding in the corner, though you should totally consider pressing it. Just look at the orbs. They usually pulse to the beat of the music, but here they're still silent, like a crowd whenever I tell a joke. This is because the music still runs at normal speed when the game is speed hacked, so eventually while you're playing at a snail's pace, the song will end and the orbs will stop pulsing with it. As time passed, people finally caught on to this. Cheaters were being exposed left and right. People once considered kings of the game were now being outed as frauds, giving Andromeda the perfect opportunity to swoop in and pick up the crown. He began grinding demons and posting them on his YouTube channel. Like any other ambitious teenager, he loved the dopamine hit he got whenever people praised him for his achievements. The tougher the levels he beat, the more validation he'd get. And so Andromeda began cooking up something that would really amaze them. Something that may just catapult him to legendary status. This is the ultimate phase, a massive level built by Andromeda and his friends. The team of creators was literally the Avengers of Geometry Dash, the greatest, most popular players in the game, and the level got people hooked. Its offbeat gameplay made it a serious contender to become the #1 demon, though Andromeda would make surprisingly quick work of it, beating the ultimate phase in only a few days. Now, in hindsight, with all the cheating scandals we've been through recently, such an achievement should have raised some suspicion, but everybody was caught up in the hype of this new exciting level and this new exciting player. Andromeda's subscriber count shot up through the roof. He loved the attention, he loved the praise, and he'd keep going after that Cloud9 feeling by plowing through other levels. However, there was a threat on his path to becoming a legendary player. Over on the other side of the world, Riot was making his way through a level much more challenging than the ultimate phase or anything else we've seen before. You may have heard of it. It was called Bloodbath. And you can tell by its name and its difficulty that this was no joke of a level. If Riot somehow managed to beat it, he'd quickly snatch attention away from Andromeda. There were even players building levels that were more challenging than Bloodbath. I guess there's always a bigger fish. Times were changing, and if Andromeda wanted to cement himself as one of the greats, he needed to act fast. His rise was unbelievable, but it wasn't like he was hacking or anything, right? Well, you see, some players were cluing up to a method to make the orbs of speed hacked footage look normal. If you took the song of a level and manually slowed it down alongside the gameplay, the orbs would pulse in order, with some slight inconsistencies you can spot if you looked closely. The player Optigonus did just that with some of Andromeda's footage, and while I don't want to accuse him of anything just yet. But it's interesting how the video would magically disappear after he gave Optigonus a spot in one of his prestigious levels. So perhaps he bribed him because there was something in that video Andromeda didn't want people to know. Something that threatened his rise to becoming a legendary player. But his downfall was already set in motion. Optigonus wasn't the only one suspicious of him. Andromeda was just a little too good. Like if someone came to you and claimed they beat 47 Guinness World Records in a month, you would be a bit skeptical, right? Panic set in. He built a legendary story off this game and made so many friends throughout his career. And now, these nosy players were about to take it all away from him. Sensing things were up, he finally gave in. But wait, you must be thinking, isn't this a video about Geometry Dash's legends? What makes this cheater legendary? And well, what he did before his confession doesn't make him special. It's what he did after that truly gave himself legendary status. Andromeda was guilty about the entire thing. He betrayed his friends, he betrayed his fans, and all for what? A little bit of fame? He didn't want to disappoint his now 30,000 strong audience. And so, starting a new, clean era of his career, he took to doing the only thing that could make things right. Andromeda was clearing all the levels he hacked. He was repairing his image bit by bit, level by level. The community was ecstatic to have their legend back. In the past, sketchy cheaters would get caught red-handed and disappear. But here was Andromeda actually sticking around to correct his mistake. However, things were fast changing in Geometry Dash. As he was in his redemption arc, harder and harder levels were being built and beaten around him. Wright had managed to clear Bloodbath months back, but now he wasn't even the king of the game anymore. And with these old generation players falling behind, they'd go inactive and eventually quit, leaving the crown up for grabs. Hundreds of players would go after it, but our following Geometry Dash legend would end up beating all of them. And if you were around back then, it would be the last person you'd expect. With players like Riot already setting the bar so high, you'd expect Geometry Dash's next legend to be some sort of crazy demon-slaying prodigy. But Knobbelboy was more drawn to the level editor, where he'd unleash his creativity. Taking inspiration from the greats of the time, he'd impress the community not by slaying big scary demons, but by building them. Through his creations, he had proven himself as a skilled creator. But if he was gunning to become Geometry Dash's next legend, he needed to prove himself as a skilled demon slayer too. So off he went, spending months clearing top levels, with him even beating Bloodbath after 30,000 attempts. His growth as a player was impressive, but not anything to really go crazy over. I mean, he wasn't the first to beat any of the levels he cleared. Like in the case of Bloodbath, he was the 10th person to beat it. If he wanted to become a Geometry Dash legend, he had to do something legendary, not something 9 other guys have already done before. Let me put it this way. Who's the fastest man in the world? Usain Bolt, right? Who's the second fastest? I guarantee you don't know. It's hard to be legendary when you're in second place, let alone 10th. Though luckily, Knobbelboy would find the perfect opportunity to prove himself. This is Bloodlust, a remake of Riot's Bloodbath by the player Manix and a couple of his friends. It was truly something to marvel at, not just for its decoration, but for its sheer difficulty. They took Bloodbath, already one of the most challenging levels in the game, and buffed the shit out of it. It was like giving a grizzly bear an AK-47 or something.
To show just how brutal this level really is, I brought together a couple of my friends for a little challenge. Here's my computer, here's Bloodlust loaded up, and if you get at least 5% on the level, I'll give you $100. Good luck, you'll need it. While they're on that, let me talk to you about Display. They make beautiful metal posters based on all your favorite brands like Star Wars or Marvel, and they're made by creators across the globe. And we got some here to unbox for ourselves.
Can you like slow this down, bro?
I'm gonna lose my damn mind. Why am I doing this for you, Mr. FreshLakeWater?
There's no way they actually sent this to me, bro. There's no way. Because the posters are actually metal, you can use the included magnet to stick them on your walls. Just like that. That's actually so cool. What?
Can I have the other one? If I win the $100, I'm gonna go out to display.
Now the coolest thing is that you can just simply pop one out and then put another one in.
1%! Bro,
This plate delivers quickly. All the posters are printed in the EU and sent straight to your house within 4 to 5 business days. They're dropping a new product line called Display Texo, which can give even cooler finishes to your posters. Go to display.com/FreshLakeWater right now and pick up one of these. You can get yourself a special discount if you use my link or my code within the first week of this video's release. Now let's see how these guys did. Let me show you how a true Geometry Dash YouTuber gets it done.
cooking! 2%!
The fact that we were celebrating over getting just 2% on the level should show you just how hard this map truly is. Such a demanding task was only suited for the best of the best, which is why Mannix got the help of Quazar to beat it. Yeah, not Knobbelboy. Despite what you may have heard of him now, he wasn't taken that seriously as a pro player back in the day. Knobbelboy only had a couple of extreme demons under his belt and was more known for the levels he built than the levels he beat. Quazar was a much more attractive candidate for Bloodlust, being the first person after Riot to beat Bloodbath. But Knobbelboy and the community knew something was up with him. Cracks in his foundation began to show early while playing the level. He was dealing with final exams and his frequent hand pains forced him to take long breaks from Geometry Dash. Whether he'd pull through or not was up in the air, with doubt setting in everywhere. For Knobbelboy, Quazar's difficulties presented the perfect opportunity. He understood that he was still the set verifier, but he hit up Mannix and told him that if, God forbid, Quazar couldn't pull it off, he'd be right there to take his place. With his health issues, everybody knew he'd drop it eventually, so Knobbelboy just began playing the wait game. And fortunately for our story, the wait wasn't very long. This was his chance to prove himself as the legendary player he aspired to be. Nobody had ever attempted a project of this magnitude. Not only did the level's creators buff Bloodbath, but they extended the level with another minutes of brutal gameplay. But with this being said, many doubted whether he could get it done. After all, if Quazar, literally the first person after Riot to beat Bloodbath, couldn't do it, how could number 10 do any better? But he'd silence the doubters by making quick progress through the level, showing everyone that he was committed to beating the map. Everyone but himself. You see, behind the streams that Knobbelboy was doing, he was fighting his own war, the war to stick with it. For him, practicing the level was initially fun, but actually taking all these practice points and tying them together from zero was a lot harder than he expected. Bloodlust was an entire 3 minutes in length, twice as long as usual. And when levels are this long, there are hundreds, if not thousands of tiny little places you can mess up and end your entire run. But he had to stick with it. He had to lock in if he wanted to truly become a legend, especially as fierce competition came from the other side of Europe. The player Trusto was making his way through Yatagarasu, another level aiming to become the most brutal demon ever beaten. Players weren't sure which of the two were number 1, so if they wanted to be 1000% sure that the level would take the top spot, they had to beat their map first, and so Knobbelboy would fight through it, climbing the brutal Bloodlust mountain step by step, day by day. But after his initial quick victories, he was losing steam with progress slowing. By mid-October, he had burned through 44,000 attempts. This is crazy considering that he had only been playing the level for 44 days, meaning he was doing 1,000 attempts a day. The combination of the level's difficulty and his stupidly high playtime was just setting himself up for burnout. Over in Trusto's corner, he was getting worn out by Yatagarasu too, which is why he finally cracked and nerfed the parts of the level that were causing him the most trouble, making its status as the number 1 demon a bit more questionable. Unsurprisingly, he'd managed to clear the level a few days later, causing his painful journey to come to an easy end. Seeing how his rival was easing up, Knobbelboy was tempted to nerf his level too. He asked his community in a Twitter poll poll whether he should do it. Votes came in throughout the day. Players watched as the fates of Bloodlust was being decided, and with a difference of only 5 votes, they narrowly voted against it. God, just how different would Geometry Dash history be if these 5 people went with the other side? With the community's voice heard, Knobbelboy scrapped the idea, wanting to just thug it out and get the job done. And it's a good thing he did. Because of Trusta's nerfs, Yatagarasu didn't even place number 1. It had been hyped up as a mythical brutal level for months and months, so this was a massive disappointment for everyone. For the rest of Trusta's career, he was ridiculed as the coward who couldn't take the heat, even though most of his haters probably haven't beaten an extreme demon, let alone a top 1. The failure of Yatagarasu played into Knobbelboy's hands as now the top spot was uncontested, and he had a clear path to becoming a Geometry Dash legend. All he had to do was beat his level, something much easier said than done. 70,000 attempts down, he broke out of the remade Bloodbath parts and into the extension, and in a practice run he completed the entire extension, meaning he now technically had Bloodlust done in 2 attempts. It looked like the grind was coming to an end, but it's here that Knobbelboy began to get really sidetracked. Unsurprisingly, people don't like to torture themselves 24/7. He was still a creator at heart, so outside of his Bloodlust playtime, he took to building levels, perhaps as a way to maintain his sanity while facing the demon every day. Being close with Manix because, you know, he was verifying his level, Knobbelboy landed a spot in one of his mega collabs, Fusion Z. It was a sequel to his most popular level, Fusion, which Andromeda called his favorite demon ever. So Knobbelboy being on Fusion Z was a big deal. He'd also pursue his own projects too, letting his skills shine and wowing the community while pissing off players at the same time. Some thought that, as the verifier of Bloodlust, he should stay loyal to the level and focus solely on it, especially as the wait for it drew longer and longer. From the outside, all these side projects made Knobbelboy look like he was getting lazy and distracted with the main project, and to some extent, it was true. He wasn't playing the level nearly as much as when he first got it. Chasing legendary status became a lot less attractive after being chewed up and spit out by Bloodlust's difficulty. But thankfully for Knobbelboy and those waiting on him to beat the level, the journey seemed to be nearing its end.
No!
His best run yet. It hurts a lot, but if he got this far into the level, clearing all the most complex parts of Bloodlust, he could surely do it again and clutch it up, right? Nah. If you've been watching the video so far, you should know that things are never this simple.
What the fuck?
This was crushing. You can just tell it in his voice. The most infuriating part about this day was that he wouldn't get back there again. Rage increased as he poured more and more hours into fruitless streams and sessions. Whenever he'd get back to that final part, he'd just choke. To add to Knobbelboy's worries, he'd get tangled up in even more drama. Manix abruptly quit the game and wanted to kill off all his unfinished projects, including Fusion Z. Remember, Fusion Z was a mega collab and Knobbelboy took part in building it. Seeing his work and the efforts of a couple dozen creators simply go to waste was frustrating for him. And so, in a power move, he stole the unfinished level from Manix. A controversial decision. Knobbelboy had built up his fame and popularity through his work on Bloodlust and his personal projects. Now, it looked like he was abusing his status to steal the level and get his way. What do you think? Was the hero of our story truly the good guy? After weeks of bitter debate, the two parties came to an agreement. Knobbelboy could keep the level, sure, but he had to get rid of Manix's part and the sections of the level made by people who sided with him. Plus, it obviously couldn't be called called Fusion Z because it wasn't a sequel to Manix's famous level anymore. This was now Knobbelboy's project. And so he took to the task of finding creators to pick up the pieces of the shaky project and rebuild the now empty parts. Peace was made, but a tricky relationship between Manix and Knobbelboy persisted, which was really awkward because he was in the thick of verifying his level and making much slower progress at that. With his record being so close to the finish line, you would think it would be easy to just finish the job, but even with how much time he was pouring into it, that progress bar wouldn't budge. The fact that the entire community was breathing down his neck didn't make things any better. The wait for the level had reached well over a year and people were getting impatient. With Knobbelboy being so bogged down with Bloodlust and his side projects, the Geometry Dash world around him had changed so quickly. Skillful players were rising up, waiting to prove themselves as Geometry Dash legends, and the player Qdzjoe was one of them, seeing Knobbelboy struggle as a way to swoop in and save the day. With Bloodlust being leaked many times, it wasn't hard for him to get a copy and start playing it himself, aiming to steal Knobbelboy's thunder and verify the level. As cliche as it sounds, he was getting a taste of his own medicine. Just as he stole Fusion Z from Manix, Qdzjoe was stealing Bloodlust from him. Many players, fed up with the level's weight, sided with Qdzjoe. He was much more skilled in doing what took Knobbelboy a couple of months in literally a couple of days. But then again, do two wrongs make a right? Did the hero of our story deserve to lose his opportunity to prove himself as a legendary player? A large section of the community sided with him, pressuring Qdzjoe to give up his shenanigans until he ultimately did. Now, Knobbelboy had to lock in. Everybody saw what Qdzjoe almost successfully pulled off. He had to finish the job before some other ambitious player tried to do the same thing. The community was tired of the wait, he was tired of the wait, and he was also tired of the stupid Bloodlust song. I mean, it's a banger, but imagine sitting through 1,000 hours of the same dubstep track. And so one afternoon, as he was playing the level, he popped on the soundtrack of one of his favorite video games, and as some epic boss music came on, he locked in.
These two legends are no longer forgotten thanks to you watching the entire video like a Chad. Be sure to check out Display and get yourself one of these. Use my link or my code to get a special discount for a week after this video drops. But our video story isn't over though. There's one other legend we didn't talk about today, and if you want to hear his even wilder story of success, check out this video. But anyway, I'll catch you later.